Yo!
Hey, Keith.
Mitch?
And everybody out there in podcast land, welcome to the Layman's Terms Show.
Welcome to the show.
We have a great show for you this week. Mash that subscribe button if you so choose to do so. We're talking about a little post-vacation Bible school, a little children's ministry recap from this week. We have a great guest on.
We have a great guest on, Angie.
Angie Gentry is going to join us as a guest. And we're going to talk about, we're going to use some of the theme from
Start the Party.
From Starting the Party. We're going to talk about throwing parties, God throwing parties for lost things, lost sheep, lost coins, prodigal lost son. We'll tie in a little bit of that. Which one's your favorite? Anyway, we'll get into that on the podcast.
Here we go.
So, stick around for the ride and enjoy the show.
Mitch, how are you today?
I'm doing great, buddy.
Good. I'm doing.
Really, you
doing
look
well.
good. You
Do
look
I?
good. You know what else looks good?
What?
Our podcast studio.
Our podcast studio does look mighty nice. We got a sponsor.
Yeah, shout out to the Missouri Annual Conference Congregational Development Team for a little bit of grant funds to
jazzing up the place.
To jazz the place up a little bit.
Still a work in progress. So if you're just out there in audio land and you can't see, maybe check out the YouTube channel and.
But
check
hey,
out
if you're
the
out
thing.
there in audio land, you may notice it sounds better than it has.
I hope it sounds better. If you're like, it doesn't sound much better, then maybe we need new hosts. Anyway.
Ooh, good stuff. Hey, Vacation
Hey,
Bible School happened at First United Methodist Church. I know a lot of people out there may have great context of Vacation Bible School. They may have antiquated context of Vacation Bible School, and they may have no clue at all what we're talking about. So,
Vacation Bible School. So, obviously we're in the middle of summer vacation.
Nailed it.
For the kiddos. And, for us, we invite all students from 4 years old up to just finished
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Yep.
And what's really cool, just as an aside note, so our youth programming starts from 6th grade through high school. And so the graduating 5th graders get to meet Dustin, who was on the show last week.
Love Dustin. Best shows. If you find a show that we have Dustin tagged on as a guest, listen to it.
Yep.
It's gonna be informational.
So they meet Dustin. Dustin is their group leader, so they kind of get used to him to go into the kind of their next phase. So I think that's a really great thing. But Vacation Bible School, ours is 4 days long, which I think is
2-hour sessions in an evening.
great. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A lot of dancing, a lot of singing, a lot of activities. A lot of playing outside, getting wet. Little duck, goose.
It's always hot.
Gotta love it. And then kind of mixed in throughout is some kind of theme and some kind of story.
Scripture of the day.
And the theme this year was Start the Party. So it was really some of the theme is like everyone's invited to the party, right? Everyone's invited to God's party, which I really think is a great message.
It's a great way to package. It's a great way to package the gospel message that it's not exclusive.
Right.
It's inclusive. It is offered, salvation's offered to all. Theologically speaking, that's our belief.
Yep.
Salvation is extended and can be accepted, which means it's an open party.
Yeah. But I think that's also a great message for life too. If for you to personally be inclusive, if God includes everyone, shouldn't you? Right. You know what I mean? So I really think it's a great message within a message for the youth to think about, especially that 3rd, 4th, 5th grade kids that are about to go into middle school and start getting excluded from things, or maybe thinking about excluding some people.
Well, and especially, I have conversations. I had some conversations with some of the older. We have volunteers. Always great. We have 50-some volunteers here, and some of the younger kids can be. It's a very exciting week. There can, sometimes might be a little extra little extra work in the wrangle, you know, just
Yeah,
keeping all the
yeah.
emotions in check and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But really, those older students, they're starting to get that responsibility factor. And I had some conversations like, hey, got some awesome new volunteers they're planning on spending the week with you here.
Yeah.
Be good to them, right? Like, make this a good experience for them. They're trying to make it a good experience for you. And I think we can also all learn from that, like
Helping each other out.
helping each other out. Keith,
Love it.
I love that. You help me, I help you.
I think you help me more than I help you.
I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. Like, do you know this would be me talking to a wall in my basement if you weren't a part of this?
Well,
you know?
I guess that's true. I do like to talk though, so it's really not a task or a chore for me.
Well, you do it well.
Well, thank you.
It's like a hobby.
What is funny is we've gotten multiple feedback that we both sound similar. So I find that humorous. So hopefully with this new equipment, we sound distinct. Distinct.
Ooh, distinct.
Yeah.
What if we said it in unison?
Distinct. Whoa.
Ooh, hot mic.
Hey, so I wanna talk about. So you have done a ton of vacation Bible schools as a volunteer, and I'm sure growing up you did a ton of vacation Bible schools, right? Do you remember anything from your youth
Oh man,
that was like really impressionable that you still remember?
Vacation Bible school highlights from childhood. Is that what we're talking about right now?
Just give me one.
All right. Well, one, I always had I was an artistic child,
Oh, okay.
and I always had the best God's eye. You know, the two popsicle sticks in the yarn.
Mm-hmm.
Always multicolored, not because it was multicolored yarn. Like, I'd tie knots in the yarn, keep that knot on
keep
the
it
back,
going.
you know, the
Yeah,
back
the back,
side of it.
yeah.
You're like, oh, fascinating. Look at the work here. But you look at the front. Always made a great God's eye. And then Red Rover, which I don't think gets to be played. I think it's
Dude,
pretty.
yeah.
I think that's an outlawed banned game.
You think?
Yeah, I think there were probably, I don't know how there weren't dislocations, broken bones.
Oh yeah. I need to ask the
windpipes.
kids if they still play that in even elementary school.
I don't know. The last time I played it, our high school football coach thought it'd be funny.
In full pads?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not. It's very injury prone game. Hey, and if you're younger than us, you probably don't know what Red Rover is.
Maybe
and
not.
If you're older than us, you probably think that's a silly game. You played something way more violent and dangerous when you were a child.
Yes. I remember, and you know, a lot of my childhood's hazy for me. Like the older you get, I feel like I lose more and more, right? Of the early memories, but I do remember because it was on the wall growing up, and they had a little wooden block, and they had stamps, and you could stamp it with whatever you wanted. Mine was a little rabbit, and then we went outside and we picked up twigs, and you could glue the twigs to the block in any way that you wanted. So I just made like a little twig frame around it.
Around your rabbit?
Around my little stamped rabbit. And it's
Still have it?
No, I
Oh,
still don't
okay.
have it. No. It's when we were cleaning out my mom's house, I was like, "Ooh, should I take that?" And I'm like, cuz it was on the wall for my entire life. But I was like, "Nah."
Could have given it to Dustin.
Oh man.
Dude loves rabbits.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Anyway.
Let's talk about a fun stat. A fun stat that we learned about on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about this, because we being laymen here, neither one of us are clergy.
Nope.
Um,
No formal training whatsoever.
no formal training or no formal training that gets counted in an amassed quantity to acquire ordination
Correct.
rights.
We've just gone to a lot of Sunday services.
Yeah, and done some other developmental
things.
classes and courses and such.
Maybe.
But Adam mentioned we learned Sunday that there was a declining trust in clergy in Christianity over the last 50 years. How can we see as individuals and as a church, how do we work to rebuild this trust and present a more authentic faith? So I think the statistic we're looking at was like a reduction in trust in clergy.
Yeah.
But, the clergy is the leader of the flock.
Mm-hmm.
I think that directly represents possibly a lack of trust in us as lay people.
Yeah. I think that it does translate to that. I think
is it just a general concept that there's less moral authority within Christianity, or does it what's the speculation?
Yeah, so I think you start to ask the why. Why is there less trust, right? Like you can say, okay, there's less trust, but I think the question goes further as to why. And since you and I haven't read the study and we don't know if they got into why, we can speculate.
Ooh,
I like speculating.
Are we going to do that live?
Yes, we're going to speculate live. And I think that for me, it's twofold. It's the media headline pastors or churches
and that's
that do the bad things.
And
right?
now it gets global exposure, not regional, localized.
Right, exactly.
Exposure.
Exactly. I'm trying not to name any names or any events particular, but we do have a kind of a local church in the Midwest that likes to do things that gets a lot of headlines.
I've often thought too, like when I read headlines or stuff like that, and I'm not talking like egregious activity, just like stuff that I don't think's like great theology, right?
Okay.
And it's just these real big blanket statements that are, and I just think, man, you lumped us all together, and somebody's gonna have to work to kind of undo that.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I think about that too, and
takes
I think
the wind out of my sails.
I think about as a lay person, how hard it is sometimes to understand the differences in denominations as well, right? And so if you're on the outside and you haven't really gone to church, or maybe gone to church a few times growing up or whatever, and you hear a certain denomination that feels a certain way from a theological perspective, you don't see it as, oh, that's that denomination and how they feel, right?
It's just generalized Christianity.
It's just generalized Christianity. And so I think that's why there's a lot of, I talk to a lot of friends that go to different churches, and a lot of them are in a way proud that they go to a non-denominational church, right? Because it's almost like denominations in a way have gotten some really bad press because of the global
or
effect
at least,
of it.
Or at least national.
Right? So if you think about, Methodism, right? We're global, but you don't get a lot of the global news, but you get a lot of the national news. And so it's easy to be like, get bombarded as a layperson with, oh man, these Methodists are terrible, or Catholics or Baptists or whatever. So if you have like this non-denominational kind of church, that's just your, and it could still be a pretty large church of 1,000 people or whatever on a Sunday worship. They're not getting that global exposure and that global news or that area, unless something really bad happens, right?
Yeah. So they can shelter themselves from
a little bit
some of that association,
right? And then I think the second part of the why is to kind of your point as well, is as Christians, how do we act in public?
Yeah. And I think it boils down to, I think there's a perception of judgment and hypocrisy.
Yep.
And so I know you and I try to take a very non-judgmental approach to Christianity. Some of my first and foremost rule is just love God and then love your neighbor. And I figure if I can get those two nailed down, then maybe I can move on to like more rules, right? Yeah. I'm still working on the first two most important ones. And but whenever we're talking about as far as starting the party and having this everybody's invited, everybody's welcome into this party, I think that's a pretty cool theme to have for breaking down some misconceptions of hypocrisy and judgmental culture.
Yeah, now, I don't think that this is hot take for a second.
All right.
I don't think that you can be a Christian and not be hypocritical at times.
I don't think you can be a human and not be hypocritical at times.
Right.
That's the part for me that's funny. It's like, oh, that's so hypocritical, you Christian. Well, man, I can be a hypocritical Chiefs fan.
Yes.
I can be I can come on.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that you have to have that in perspective as well, right? Like it's hard to totally get rid of the hypocrisy in your actions, but I think you have to recognize when you do it and at least apologize, right, for doing it, right? And I think the real issue with the hypocrisy is that the people that are being hypocritical and they don't realize it.
Mm-hmm. It's irony.
It is
ironical.
So to get back to the main question is, how do we as individuals in the church work to rebuild that trust? And I think that's part of it, right? As individuals, we have as individuals that profess our love for Christ, we have to be more like Christ in everything that we do. And that's not easy. But we have to be open to understand that we're going to mess up, and that's okay. That's human nature. But to continue to strive to be more like Christ every day. And then I think that then shows the world you as an individual. What do you think?
I agree. I think I think we should disagree more, though.
Oh, man.
Anyway. That's just a side note. I think people like this show a lot better
if we just disagree.
But well, there's lots of. They should listen to a couple episodes. It's gotten spicy before. But the key point is, I think we can lean in more to celebrating. More celebrating. Awesome stuff. Like we expect this baseline good, which is crazy. We expect this baseline good out of our kids, out of our culture. We expect all this high level service, like it's all this expectation of perfection. And man, that's pretty crazy to be a world of broken, self-centered sinners to expect such a high level, a high bar,
right?
For everything. So I think we need to take the opportunity to celebrate small victories often and extravagantly, like the party. So our parables for the week, lost sheep. The shepherd has 99.
Luke chapter 15.
Yeah, we got shepherds, got 99, safe and secure, but missing one. Going to go out looking for it. And when he finds it, celebrates.
Has a party.
Lady loses a coin. Some interesting, if you delve deeper into unpacking that that story. There's some different views as to what that coin could have been. Could have had more of a sentimental value to it than just a quarter. But finds it, celebrates.
Yep.
The lost son,
which we talked about just a few episodes ago.
Yeah, strays away, but comes back, and
father throws a party.
Big party, celebrating. And yeah, I think we need to affirm and recognize and appreciate, the 99. But man, when lost and then found, like, we need to celebrate that more.
Yeah. I think that in connection with that celebration too, I think that it has to be public celebration. And I think this is one thing that our church could do to be better visually in the community, right? I think we do a really good job of celebrating our internal victories, whether it's a mission trip or whether it's the canned food drive or whatever it is, right? We have tons of outreach projects, tons more than I think a lot of churches normally do, right? And we do a really great job of internally celebrating those things. But I just don't know if, my kind of thing is if you went to the local grocery store people out there listening, if you went to your local grocery store and you walked up to 10 people and said, what do you think about X church, whatever church you go to, what would people say? I'm gonna attest that out of 10 people, at least half of them probably don't even know what you're talking about. Like they have no opinion, right? Because they don't know.
Or they'll say,
your church.
Which one's that?
Which one's that? Where's that at?
Where's that located?
Right. Because you're not in the community as that church unless you're this extravagantly horrible church, right? Really super opinionated
you
church.
Get bad press.
You get bad press, and then all of a sudden everybody in the community knows you, right? But so I think that we have to celebrate our internal victories publicly. But also, as you just stated in this podcast, right, we should disagree more because more people would probably watch and listen because we're arguing, right? Versus agreeing and being friendly, right? So it's kind of a weird, I don't know, man. It's kind of a weird duality there, right? So yeah, but I think more public celebration. What does that look like?
Yeah, well, it's so hard. So Jesus came to save the sick and the lost. He came for the lost, came for those struggling, and yet, if everything's honky dory, and then someone who has been on the wrong path, turned away, gone astray, but returns, and everybody celebrates that, you're like, but I've been doing good the whole time.
Yeah.
I think people have that. I think that's a natural, albeit immature, but a natural reaction that we have. And we tend to isolate ourselves into groups or into pockets, into cliques. I know that's a terrible buzzword to use, but I think the world's cliquey and we put ourselves into these comfort groups.
Yes.
And we can put ourselves in those comfort groups based on how we maybe perceive ourselves doing well or not doing well within whatever moral code we feel like we're operating in.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be around people that are like yourself, right? That's just kind of human nature. So you typically gravitate towards people that you have common interests in, or you feel like you match in some kind of ideological fashion, right?
And we try to break that down around here and spend a little more time with unlikely friends.
We try. Speaking of unlikely friend,
let's call Angie. Man, this will be great. Hope our new technology works.
I do too. Otherwise, we're just cutting this out.
Hello.
Hey,
Angie.
Welcome to the show.
Hold on.
Holding. Standing by.
Standing by, waiting.
Always stood strong for our families. Right.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Are you in the car driving?
She said she was in the car driving. Hey, let's play a fun game. Let's guess where Angie's going.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Do we get 3 questions?
Yeah. Go
Okay.
for it.
Well, I'm parked now because I pulled in somewhere to go somewhere, and then so I could take your call.
Oh, well, thank you. We'll
That's
try not
very
to
nice
keep
of
you
you.
too long. I'm going to guess that she's at the home store buying stain for her deck.
Ooh, close.
Ooh.
Dude, really close.
You didn't want to go with Home Depot or Lowe's?
I said the homes. That's what I meant.
Oh, you mean
Yeah, yeah,
you
home
mean
improvement
a
store.
home improvement store.
Yeah, I'm not talking home goods, man.
You are really close.
Going to the
home
lumber
stuff.
store to get some lumber to replace something on the deck because you realize you need to.
You're getting a little closer.
I don't know beyond that.
Man.
It's not with deck.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Paint for the house.
Yes.
Nailed
Hey!
it. I don't know. See, that's good. That's like unlikely friends, but yet we've had enough conversations lately, and we've listened to one another that I had an idea. You said you were driving. You might be doing some stuff like that. Hey, did you enjoy Vacation Bible School last week, Angie?
Yes. I was due. I've been doing it for a lot of years. Now, I wasn't as involved this year, but I love it.
Oh, me neither, but I think that's good. I think that's a healthy growth indicator for our faith community is always, you have 50 volunteers, and they're not the same 50 volunteers running stuff this year as it was 5 years ago.
Exactly. I love it. When new people start getting engaged.
Yeah, so we feel like we're doing okay at being welcoming and engaging and celebrating new folks participating with us in our faith, participating in our ministries like Vacation Bible School, participating in worship, stuff like that. But we're kicking around what are ways do you feel like we're doing well at welcoming and celebrating those that may feel distance from God, and then what are ways we could do better?
Ooh, good. And you're asking me. Start with ways that we're doing well.
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing well?
in your mind? What are we doing
What
good?
are some of your favorite, most welcoming aspects of church life recently?
Well, I honestly think it starts personally just from like going down a little, like up, down, those layers. I think your pastor is a huge impact. I think our pastor is so welcoming and inviting, and I think he speaks to everyone in a way that, our business is open to everyone. It's his phrase, unlikely, what is it again? Unlikely
friends.
worship together.
Yep,
Yeah,
unlikely
I
friends
think
following Jesus together.
I think that message, resonating that throughout, has been a change that I appreciated. Making sure people know that judgment doesn't come from us or people as Christians. And, everybody's welcome to the table, I guess. That from top to bottom, I think that's a huge piece. And then I just think some of it comes from, like, how this spread and then shared through others. I think it doesn't even have to be within the church walls, everybody going out and sharing your experiences with your faith in church in the community and how we bring them to church. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had some great opportunities to have, I think our community, I think maybe some of our listeners in other places or other communities may not know, but we have a large community, but it's pretty close knit. Like, there's a lot of wonderful people who take part in all sorts of parts of civic life and community life, and outside of, take part in the school district and volunteer within the schools and participate. And I think we have a very strong presence and a very strong Christian presence within all those organizations. And I'm pretty proud of the presence our church has in a lot of those organizations. And I think that speaks highly for the welcoming culture that we have also.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. I mean, I just think of, being involved in like the school district committees, or, I go even to like my husband coaching and broadcasting, and, it's things that maybe you don't think are church related, but at the core, or Christian related, but at the core, I think those are, like you're saying, civic.
Oh, at the core, I think it's a more true. I think at the core, I think it's a more true depiction of Christian life and living is participating in those facets of life and not being overtly expressive in your Christian views, but being living that admirable, building others up, leading, kind, caring, compassionate person.
I agree.
Is attractive. People are attracted and want to know where that stems from. And I think that's when the conversation can get started. But man, I've welcomed people into this church that have came here purely on association of they heard so and so went here, and they really respect them, and they're a great person, and their kids, they learn that this person came to church here, and it's one of their kids' favorite teachers they've ever had. Boom, they show up and experience that's consistent within our culture of building others up.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
how we witness, right?
I would say, yeah. And if you're the kind of, and I'm terrible at this, by the way. So I recognize my own hypocrisy when I'm saying this. But if you're a Christian and you come to church on Sunday and then you go home and then you don't do anything in the community, then what are you really living the life that Jesus would want you to live, right? And so I also think that extends to work as well, right? You can witness at work just as easy as you can, anywhere else, right? And to your point is not being overtly Christian in your values and in that way, but just being a good person at work,
Well, making the hard choices, making the hard decisions, making the acting in the selfless ways and putting others first. I mean, that's what we're called to do as Christians. But when you live that out, people will start to wonder why in the world do you keep consistently putting others first and not yourself?
Yeah.
And then they can ask questions.
Right. I mean, it's like when they say the battlefield, I feel wholeheartedly that almost your faith extending outside of the four walls or however many walls of your church is probably the most important part in bringing Christians to their faith.
Oh, fully agree. And that's why I was excited to have you on the show because, whenever I see you kind of radiate positivity. And I don't think that's just like inherently Angie. I think some of it is, and some of it's just Christ radiating through you, because you have a baseline comfort level of that assurance and security of being known and loved and included in Christ's family. So when you just kind of radiate that out there, it's a people are drawn to it. I've seen it time and time again in the community.
Very nice of you to say.
Well, thank you for accepting the compliment really well. You know, that's another thing we're hard at.
Thanks.
It's,
I mean,
no,
hard on yourself.
I'm serious.
You know, but I do think some of it is, like you said, maybe with age too. You know, you become more comfortable in your own skin, and I think I'm just comfortable also in knowing. I don't know Christ made me this way. I think I know that I inherently love people, and I love giving, if that makes sense. Like, that's what fills my bucket. It's like those, they called that Pastor had us do, your characteristics.
Your strengths.
Strengths.
Yeah, your strengths. And I know that strengths can also be big weaknesses for me. Communication, positivity, woo, that's kind of my personality. Can also get you in trouble when you communicate too much. Knowing when to stop, knowing when to pull back. But I do think that light, like sharing that light and paying it forward, I hope is a way to draw people to Christ. And it's not always something that I feel like doing, if that makes sense. But I do know working, my job, my whole life has been serving people who are less fortunate in the special education world, or who struggle, parents who struggle with kids with a lot of challenges. And I just learned that maybe the brighter light is, and the more you can encourage others to be accepting of other people, things are just better.
Yeah.
Well, Angie, we are.
But my job has probably taught me that a little too.
Well, I think some of your life experience, you've lived that out, and you've seen change. You've seen change for the good. You've seen some of those restoration stories. You've experienced healing and wholeness as people accept that call to Christ. So I appreciate all the work you do out there in the community. We thank you for participating in our Vacation Bible School this week. Yeah. I know the kids think you are just a big kid yourself, which is awesome. You and I share that trait.
We do.
But I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to us. We have ran ourselves out of time here on the show, but okay. we will have you back on for more future topics. And as always, appreciate you, and everybody out there in podcast land. Hit that subscribe button and check us out on future episodes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
You too. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Hey, that was our show today, and we're so happy you joined in and listened. Mash that subscribe button. We special thanks to Angie for being on the show today.
Yeah, she's great.
As always, if you have an opportunity at your local church or this local church, grab a chance to plug into some of those volunteer opportunities, help out with youth, children's missions, outreach, any places you can connect and grow. It is our desire that we can spread the light of Christ through helping others know God more deeply, grow together in faith community, serving together and going out and doing all those things, putting others first in Jesus' name.
Amen.
So, amen. Love you guys. Have a great week.
See you next week.